start with your history with Brian Flores, how you met, and
Yeah, well, I think one of the things about the National Football League is an interesting place because of the fact that first you get introduced to a person by the work that he does. And I can tell you without question, just watching Coach Flores when, he was with New England, they always did a heck of a job in terms of preparation for you. You knew you were going to have your hands full. There were very few teams that could adapt and adjust as well as they would adapt and adjust, and also they did a great job of always taking away your number one option and sometimes your number one and your second option. So that was my first introduction to him. Obviously, we always were familiar with the staff, who was on the staff, who were in positions to make decisions, and so we always did fairly throughout the league. You do a fairly good job of getting to know them from that standpoint. But from a personal level, he and I had phone conversations, particularly when he started to get involved in some of the head coaching searches and things of that nature. So we've had several conversations along the way, got to know one another through that as well. Yeah, it was interesting. It was the first year that I had off in 41 years, and it was, it's always been kind of my routine: get up early in the morning, come into the office, and work until late. And so last year gave me a chance to do some things I hadn't done before. I've been married to my wife for 41 years, so I saw her a little bit more often. I don't know if she was happy about that, but nevertheless, we spent some time together, traveled. I had a chance I got three grandsons and four children, so I saw them a little more often. And fortunately, my parents are still alive, so I had a chance to go up and see my parents and my in-laws. My parents are both 85, so went to Israel, went to Singapore, did some consulting, did a little bit of everything. I stayed busy. I did some consulting on the pro level and on the college level as well. So it was a fun year, but I'm glad I'm back to work, to be honest with you.
Jim, you have in Miami, you have a first-time head coach, first-time coordinators on the offense and defense, and then you're someone who brings a lot of experience to the coaching staff. Can you describe your role in terms of what you can offer, especially Brian, in terms of your experience and helping him along as he kind of gets his footing?
Well, first of all, note that he doesn't need much help in that regard. I mean, he is excellent. He's a guy that has great vision and foresight, and really what I'm here for is I'm just here to help and do whatever he asks me to do. We have some very capable coaches. I know when you were referring to experience, you're probably talking about age as well, but nevertheless, that's a kind way of saying it, right? But Pat Flaherty has been around a bit as well. There's been a number of these guys, even though they may be somewhat youthful as you look at in terms of experience as coordinators, they've had coordinating abilities for years. They're very, very sharp guys, very bright, and my job is just to serve, just to help wherever I can.
You've had a lot of success in your career working with quarterbacks. Do you have a philosophy or particular tenets that you place in the quarterbacks? This is what I would like to see out of you.
Yeah, I think that number one, the head coach really sets those standards. That the quarterback has to be a person that kind of fits his vision of how he wants the offense run. And I think Coach Flores is obviously shaping that for us. And then Chad, as the coordinator, is also shaping that for us. So we're kind of working our way through those little details and things of that nature. Certainly we have an idea. Certainly Chad has an idea, and certainly Brian has an idea. And so we're putting all that together at this point in time.
what did you see in your first time as head coach come across your desk that you hadn't seen before? And I don't know, surprised you or about the job, or okay, this is what the job's about.
Yeah, I'd say I have to go back to college for me because I was a head coach in college first. Yes, I was a head coach for 8 years at Wake Forest. Most of you guys are probably too young to remember that. Okay, all right. But to be more specific, right? They're really just the demands on your time in terms of being able to balance, the free agency with your current players, with preparing for so many different segments, and then dealing with all of the sort of public demands that are on you, just speaking engagements, meeting with alumni, things of that nature. That more than anything else. But other than that, there weren't any great surprises. If you've been around football as long as the guys that are here on this staff have been around, there's not too many things that are gonna shock you.
You had a lot of college level, I guess, a little bit of pros. What is
I think just overall, it's just like any position, not just that particular position. It's getting them accustomed to what to expect in this league. Whether he's been in this league for 1 or 2 years, or whether he's brand new, or whether he's been in this league for 5 or 6, depending upon if your system changes, just kind of indoctrinating him to what to expect within the system that he's involved with at this particular time. And it just, for the great majority of them, is just really how quickly they can catch on, how quickly they can sort of translate. It's like learning a different language, how quickly they can translate that.
I guess nowadays we see more of the college scheme kind of integrated in the NFL scheme. How much of that have you tried to adopt, and has it changed your thought process of not only that position but offense as well?
Yeah, I think overall, just league-wide, the league goes through trends. When Vince Young came in the league, obviously he brought a little different dimension. When Michael Vick came to the league, he brought a little different dimension. But when you think back, Randall Cunningham did the same during his day. Steve Young, guys that moved around quite a bit. But pro football has always had an interesting exchange with college football, and vice versa. A lot of guys in college, when I was in college, I studied the pros to take a look at what they were doing, if there's something different in college, which is unique, in the pros, which is unique when you look at college, because we get a chance to see them through tape and evaluations. And so every once in a while, some particularly interesting plays pop up. As you've seen a couple of plays, right, of late, some of the teams have used some of the college trick plays and things of that nature. So I think we all sort of use one another as a great resource.
What's for you? What's like the biggest, looking at this team, the way it's constructed now, what are the challenges that you're looking to kind of change the culture of this team compared to the previous administration that was here?
Yeah, first of all, I don't like doing comparisons in that regard. Secondly, that's not my position. Coach Flores will give you that. He sets the tone for us in those areas in terms of culture building and things of that nature, and we follow his lead. He's got great vision, great foresight, and he'll do a good job getting us headed in the right direction.
What's the biggest change for you personally coming to South Florida, making this change? How's it been for you?
In coaching, we adapt. I'm not certain exactly how many jobs that I've had. It's the 5th one in this league, and several. So in terms of years, it's my 42nd year. So there's not a whole lot that we haven't had an opportunity to experience. It's still fun. It's still exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Every year is a great challenge, and I'm looking for everything that I can do to help this team get in position to win games consistently. So whatever that is.
When you think back on your history in this league, what stands out in terms of anything you've experienced in Miami? Super Bowl?
Here, yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, down in this area when I was in college at Penn State, we came to the Blockbuster Bowl twice. So we're in Fort Lauderdale. So we had a chance to play Florida State one year and Stanford the other year. Also down this way, we came here for 2006 Super Bowl. We were here at this facility, actually, with the Colts, and then also in 2009. One ended up great, the other one not so great, right? But nevertheless, they were both great experiences for us and our families, here in this region.
Can't help but notice that at the top of this organization, there's a lot of minority coaches, Brian and Chris at the top, and Patrick. What do you take that as, particularly in this league where that isn't always the case?
Mm-hmm.
Per se?
Yeah, well, I think what Brian and Chris have done is they've taken a look and see who the best possible candidates. I don't think they look at color or anything of that nature, and they made the decisions based upon that. But I think throughout the league, when you see there's, except for obviously the last year in terms of the hiring practices, the hiring cycle, I should say, there were very few minorities. But when you look at the teams, there are always, a lot of assistant coaches that are in prominent positions, perhaps not as many coordinators that they've been in the past. And I think you'll see that change because there's a lot of bright young guys that are coming up through the ranks. But I think first and foremost, what they do is they look to see who's the best fit for this particular team, who can do the best job. And I think they did that regardless of color, which is great.
What's it been like when Brian gets his staff together in terms of his leadership with the other coaches, his ability to connect with people? What have you observed so far?
Yeah, I mean, he's it's natural for him. I mean, he's been leading men for a long time, and I don't think it's any difference in terms of your staff. Whether he's standing in front of the entire defense when he was in New England, or whether he's standing in front of us in terms of our staff meeting room. It's really the same dynamics. He has, those special qualities in terms of leadership, focus, and vision. He's a great communicator, and I think those things go hand in hand, and they travel.